Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you to all the panelists for agreeing to join this panel and to share your insights with us. And thank you to all the participants, admission officers for joining us on this session. Today's panel focuses on understanding Indian families in West Asia, which is a region that is home to a rapidly growing which as a reason is rapidly growing, and there's lots of students and families who go there for various reasons. It could be for work, business, education, etc. Beyond the well-known hubs like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Doha, there are a lot of emerging cities that US or non-US institutions should pay attention to. We'll explore how schools how the school systems and students profiles vary across the region and what drives families professionally and academically, and how their aspirations shape higher education choices. So, together with our panelists, we'll discuss some effective strategies and the role of counselors and how universities and admission officers can build lasting relationships in this very unique market. Uh, uh, Let me invite our panelists. We have Vanna Mahajan here, who is the founder of Futures Abroad. Hi, Vanna. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, Devesh, for inviting me.
Thank you. We have Ulka Adivrekar, who is the founder of Sage Global. Hello, Ulka. Thanks for
Hi,
joining today's session.
thank you.
We have Anu Cheladurai, who is the founder of iPercept. Hi, Anu. Thank you for joining.
Delighted to be on, Devesh. Thank you.
And finally, last but not the least, Annie Prasanna from Raffles World Academy in Dubai. Hey, Annie, thank you so much for joining today.
Thanks, Devesh.
So before we jump into the questions, very quickly, a little bit about Next Genius. The Next Genius Scholarship Program is one of the largest study abroad scholarship program for students who want to gain a world-class scholarship to study in India or at world-class institutions around the world. And we work with students and families, not just from India, but from the Middle East, and connect those students as well with scholarships to study abroad. If you are admission officer, I'd be happy to share more about our scholarships and how we can support your uh, sort of recruitment goals in this region. That's a little bit about us. And I'll straight away now jump into the questions. And my first question is to you, Vanna. Vanna, you have an experience of decades now, and you have worked in many, many cities in India and in West Asia. Which key cities in West Asia should institutions and service providers, profile building organizations, let's say, be targeting beyond the three more popular cities of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Doha?
Okay, thanks, Devesh, for this question. I think it's a very pertinent question because institutions have definitely started looking beyond Dubai and Abu Dhabi in the UAE. So, in my opinion, the three highly prospective destinations are Saudi Arabia, where the Saudi Arabia's Vision of 2030 initiative has major investments in education and executive learning, where they are drawing top global institutions to establish offices, programs, and partnerships in cities like Jeddah and Riyadh. It's also quite a destination where there is a lot of demand for students willing to study abroad. The second destination, in my opinion, is Lebanon. Despite the economic and political instability, it still remains, has a rich cultural legacy, and we've seen a lot of students looking at educational opportunities outside of Lebanon. It is still considered the hub or intellectual hub of the Middle East. Last but not the least, Jordan is another city that stands out as one of the regions where most liberal and which is most liberal and cosmopolitan, and the trend in international students or local for international students has been of looking at options overseas beyond Jordan or UAE in the initial years. They are economically very sound. There's cultural stability there as well, which makes it an attractive recruitment destination for universities.
If we have to rank, first start with Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Doha in terms of their potential for study abroad, and we don't have to be right, but in your view, how would you rank them in terms of the engagement or the potential of these cities for US universities, let's say?
I would say UAE is still topping the charts, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And number two, in my opinion, is Saudi Arabia, and we will all see a lot of growth there. Thereafter would be Jordan. And there are a lot of other countries as well, like Kuwait, Oman, etc., which are quite attractive as destinations for international recruitment.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for answering that. Anu, before we move to the next question, I would like to hear your thoughts on this question in terms of cities in West Asia.
Vandana has put in a really excellent point. Just to build upon what she's already spoken about, I find that the secondary cities in major countries, they have more potential now. Something like in the eastern provinces of Sharjah, though they are most of them work in Dubai, people tend to stay there because of the economic conditions. It's cost effective, so they have more disposable income, but they're looking for like prestigious colleges, but with better returns, you know. And the most, if I say it's in Kuwait, it's still a little conventional there. So, how do I say this? It's usually Kuwait and cities like Oman, Salah, and all get overlooked because of the traditional conventional setup. So they are also a potential,
Yeah,
uh, potential
market.
customers for our study abroad. Because
Okay.
now with the changes happening, the satellite cities are growing because predominantly, though these people are very conventional, the disposable income, is on the higher range.
Okay, okay. Wow, fantastic. Thank you, Anu. My next question to you is, how do cities in the region differ in terms of the school systems, student profiles, and openness to international education?
Devesh, this is, every city is varied in this case. And if once you understand the nuances in this, the dividends are paid. Because though they're all GCC countries, they have a drastic varied population. Something like I'm well versed with Qatar. Qatar is a very modern country compared to GCC, but no, I would not say as modern as Dubai. Okay, the UAE still stands out to be the top educational hub. Okay, so in Qatar, we do have a system, educational system, place which is called the educational city. It is an educational hub. So where you get exposure to international education, global awareness, but then there is a disconnect, because Qatar is predominantly into CBSE, IB, and British curriculum. We do not have the presence of ICC schools here. So, since because of this global exposure, people have this, assumption of automatic admissions. This is where counseling has to be bridge the gap. They have to counsel, channelize it, and put in a realistic, authentic pathway, fitment pathway. And what I find very, really challenging is when we uh, converse with students from cities like Oman and Kuwait and Bahrain. Though they are all small cities, and they come from the traditional background, their expectations are very different. Something like Bahrain, when you talk to somebody in Bahrain, the student is a perfect fit for US style application, but they fall short when it comes to countries like UK, Canada, or other European countries. So Oman has always been traditional, conventional. It's more CBSE. So when you're dealing with cities, it is basically you have to take into consideration the curriculum, the academic calendar, as well as the traditional, cultural considerations. So this is what, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing those insights, Anu. And let me come to you on the same question about how do you see different, cities in the region differ in terms of the school systems or the student profiles and their openness to international education.
Yeah, I think the biggest commonality in all these countries has been, there is different educational systems in most of these countries. So there is a blend of, you'll find CBSE, you'll find American, British, etc. So the students in the local school curriculums, for example, are not very well aware, but those in the international schools, I think they're very well equipped in terms of their understanding of the in university admissions to some extent. Now, I would say, for example, Doha is a little bit more advanced in comparison to Saudi. I started traveling, for example, to Saudi, recruiting students, meeting schools, understanding their culture, etc., 5 years ago. And the biggest gap, for example, I felt was that students did not know they could apply with predicted grade reports. So even in the international schools, they were wasting 1 year because they did not know this could happen. That has changed very quickly because for the past 2 years, we see a lot of universities now going in the region and are comfortable with approaching, for example, Saudi schools, etc. But overall, I would say that students are often global minded, they're competitive, they are looking at what's happening across the globe, particularly in STEM and humanities, and are understanding where, how these trends are changing in international recruitment and sort of weighing their pros and cons as well. So it's a bit of understanding from our perspective their cultural diversity as well as their school curriculum diversity is important in terms of recruitment.
Oh, absolutely. Uh, I think students in general, you would say, are global minded and they are competitive. But at the same time, when you see, let's say, most large cities in the region have people from all around the world, and I think that makes students more, accepting of cultural diversity, but also looking for destinations which offer. Diversity of student cohort. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It makes absolute sense. Yeah.
Okay. So let's switch gears now. Let me come to you, Annie. Annie, you also moved from Mumbai, I think 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm not wrong.
My
Uh,
fourth. Yeah.
Fourth year, yeah. And I see actually a growing trend where many individuals and businesses relocating to Dubai, uh,
Yep.
in particular Dubai. But my question to you is, what are most Indian families in West Asia doing professionally? And is there a growing trend of families relocating to the region in general?
Well, as somebody who still considers herself to be still fresh off the boat, this is my fourth year here. And but what I realized within my first year was the huge Indian diaspora. And sometimes I hear people telling me that Dubai is the fourth largest Indian city, right? The fourth largest after Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, and Chennai. This one would be the fifth metropolis or so. So everything, the diaspora's presence is huge. And so you have families that have been there since the very beginning. And the region, of course, culturally has had a huge impact in the UAE. At one point, I think I remember the Indian currency was used as currency here in the UAE. So the ties are very strong. And with that being said, with the changing tax regime in India, right? Many businesses and high net worth individuals are moving their businesses and families here because the Dubai government has made it very easy to set up businesses. You can literally set up a business within a day, right? And so the process is very transparent, very streamlined, and it's easy to do things here, right? And so and moving money sometimes, right, is also easier. So if you have businesses across the globe, it's also super easy to do business with the base in Dubai as such. So I think it's in a way a perfect storm as such, because so now we are attracting people who are highly educated, right, and also are running businesses coming into Dubai. And this, along with the already existing Indian diaspora that has been there over the years, if you notice the roles that they have come to occupy in recent times, back then there used to be a very stark divide based on their passport, but now you see many Indians heading companies and carrying owning skill sets that are globally recognized, and also very well recognized and owning positions of power here in the UAE. So this is a country that recognizes the work that you bring, right? It is intense. The work pressure is intense, but if you work hard, it does get recognized, right? And so, and very recently, I think if you notice, a lot of our students, because of the changing global situation politically and economically, are tending to they're wanting to open more international campuses here in the region. So the government's also pushing a huge thrust in attracting students from across the globe. So that is another interesting trend that I see here in Dubai in recent times, and that's only going to grow in the next coming years, right? And so what are families, Indian families doing? They're doing everything, right? So they're occupying the top positions, running companies, and we are attracting a huge Indian diaspora. And I also notice other students from other countries or families which hold passports in other countries, for example, but who want to move to the UAE now because they get paid better, they have a better quality of life here, and they can travel, right? And safety, again, is a huge deal. So, yeah.
Yeah, wow, fantastic. That was very insightful,
Thank you.
Annie. Anu, what would you like to add to this? What do you see your families or students' families doing in the region? Yeah.
Annie has captured the Dubai shift really well. Because I was very fascinated, and I mean, in awe with all she presented. But this is really happening. I mean, the entrepreneurship boom, what you're calling it, especially in many cities of Dubai being more liberal. Other cities have a little bit of more rules and regulations. But the entrepreneurship boom, that is what is this new layer which is coming in. So business investors and financial investors are moving here, all because they get the mindset is shifting more towards permanence. They don't just want to come for a contract, they want to come here for a long-term settlement. The gold visas, then if you invest, you get benefits, long-term residencies, and also the new trend which they wish, the US shifting, the Indian shifting from US, Canada to the Middle East.
Okay.
Basically, because of all the tax benefits and the lifestyle benefits, these are known to be one of the most safest cities to live in. Like we all joke around, no, we leave a bag on the desk and walk off. It'll still be safe. So what I have seen is parents plan very much in advance, because with my 8 years plus experience with GCC countries, I've seen that they want to get their kids when they're in lower grades, and they want to plan ahead. Because with all these foreign universities moving into Doha, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, IIT, so IIT, yes, IIT is in the D is in Abu Dhabi. So they do not want to compete with our ever brilliant Indian population. So they are looking at settling here. So they plan in advance, about 5-6 years advance. So they're looking for a counseling help which is more personalized. That's one thing I have learned here. A small group, keeping in mind the cultural, differences, does a lot of magic rather than a constrained one. Like we have masses, if you have a webinar, usually people prefer closed group, and then it has to be a personal interaction. So still you can find the traditional, migrators like the construction, oil, engineering, but modern cities and like Doha, I've seen parents being open to liberal arts, design, creative careers. Or usually it used to be only this healthcare, medicine, finance, the constrained one. But now people are open because of all the opportunities what is available.
Fantastic.
So they don't have to send their child out
Hmm.
since they have a university based here, and then they can slowly for the exchange program. But yes, they have apprehension on the basis that how does the application work around, what is the end result, because the ROI, because most of the people in GCC are high, though they are high middle class. So the ROI translates into a admission.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Anu. And I think let's take that conversation forward about the attitude of Indian families in the Gulf. And I'll come to you, Vanna, on that one. What are the typical attitudes or mindset of Indian families in the region when it comes to higher education, and which destinations, which countries are they most interested in sending their children to?
Um, Perfect. Thanks, Devesh. The initially the families, Indian families, which are settled in the UAE or GCC countries, the mindset has been, targeting the best of the best for their kids. The Indian culture was always been that, our investment in education is the best investment. So the perception always was we want the Harvards and the MITs of the world. But slowly, I see that there is a lot of mindset change with all that's happening, geopolitical issues happening, and parents are sort of realizing where is the return on investment. What is it worth to send students abroad and spend, let's say, $100,000, because and where are the jobs? So I think that realization is setting in sooner than later, and being in the education sector for 20 years, I think the shift is going to come very soon to see where should we send our kids to get the best education, safe options, and of course, at the end of the day, jobs, right? So that shift where I'm seeing now Indian parents are sort of considering other options closer to home, probably with more safety and security for their kids and permanency in terms of job placements. So that is the trend we are seeing. And a lot of people are looking from the UAE, looking back home to India for options,
Yes.
or within UAE as well. So I'm seeing a lot of families now focusing on UAE universities.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So, I mean, gaining a best of the education with safety and security in mind, and with an outcome of, let's say, job or a solid master's program. Uh, Ulka, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I completely agree with Vandana, and this is exactly what has been seen since past few years. Ideally, earlier, if they wanted to do some traditional courses, they were getting back to India in some time. However, there have been some best universities now in Dubai itself, in Abu Dhabi as well. And what I see the trend changing is that the students wish to do the undergrad program in UAE, because then they just get another 3 years to stay back home. It's affordable as well at the same time. And the education is really wonderful. It's the best education, like be it a university which is from the West, it could be any university from UK established in Dubai, or it could be a university from India. They are offering wonderful courses. And what's happening is, like, again, due to the safety and the travel, and the most importantly, the affordability, that is a very considerable factor at this point of time with so many other challenges. Parents are looking for better, I mean, in a way, a better kind of an investment, and they are looking for universities that they would like their kids to stay back in Dubai or in UAE for the undergrad program. So yeah, local universities are really offering wonderful international programs, and because Dubai has been an expatriate country, so students already are getting that kind of an international exposure, which was one of the criteria to go out to study abroad, right? But
Yeah.
that whole experience is available right now on campuses in UAE as well. So that's
that's why they want to retain back and probably think about post-graduation or any other countries, their studies abroad. So yeah,
Okay,
most of them
fantastic.
are planning to stay back.
Oh, that's interesting to know. With a population, or let's say with students from around the world, now aiming to do an undergrad within the region, I think that really tells a lot about how much families love to stay back, and sort of maybe the students want to stay back in the region for their undergrad. Annie, I'll come to you for the next question, but before the next question, I want to hear your thoughts. You have seen, let's say, cohorts of graduating students from your school. Is there a ranking for you also in terms of the top priority for your students in terms of destinations? Which country are they going to?
Oh, well, in the 3 years that I've been here, I have seen, I mean, the interest changes, yes, geopolitical scenarios or changing, for example, statements by the premiers or the presidents just before, the application's going to course, does send like a huge, set of kids running to my office saying, can I just send one more application to this other country, please? Or can I change my mind? So we do notice that, like, for example, I had one student who got more than 500,000 in scholarships from the US, but still chose one of her options in Australia, right? All the choices that she had were very good ones, right? But finally, she decided, just because of the political scenario, she was the first in the family to go overseas, and she wasn't. So my school, I have around 80 nationalities represented in my school, Devesh. And so last year's graduating class, we had around 26 nationalities represented. We have a huge set of course, and since we offer the IB diploma, and we also offer the IB CP, the career-related program, and also the courses, and also the BTech level 3 and BTech extended. So we offer a clutch of those programs. A lot of our students come from India, Europe, the GCC, right? And also a section from the UAE. And you'll notice, for example, in my previous schools in India, 60% of the class would have chosen maybe the US, right? And the second top destination before in India would have been maybe UK or Canada, and then Asia and the rest of the world, right? Whereas here, I noticed maybe in a class of maybe 85 students, I might have maybe the first year I hardly had like 13 or 14 applications, right? So last year, which was my third year working with them, it's grown to, or second year working with them, it's grown to around 24 applications, right? I wouldn't take total credit for it, but it's also right, sometimes inviting different sets of schools and not and getting them to consider other choices and terms of comfort level. Sometimes they watch TikTok and make decisions about how the country is, and so to get them connected with other students who've been through that and who have done well sometimes helps them manage the fear of the unknown sometimes. So otherwise, generally, because we have a huge set of Lebanese, Jordanians, Egyptians, they also, and Europeans. The Europeans sometimes tend to stay in Europe because fee is like, it's very, very affordable or next to nothing, and they have family close by. But otherwise, Canada again used to be a good option. And because the British degree is very well recognized in the GCC, UK again was a very popular option, right? And so for traditional programs like medicine, there again, the UK, because it's a direct entry, was a very popular option. Last year, I had around 6 students apply. right? But interestingly, they were starting to also, because of how competitive it is, they were also starting to consider other options in Europe and in other countries too, right? Which is a welcome sign, because the market's getting saturated, but we can always find the right fit for students.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Wow, that was insightful, Annie. We are now coming to almost the end of the session, where we'll talk about how can organizations, higher ed organizations, engage with schools or families. So, what are some of the effective formats, uh, uh, and also what time of years when universities can engage with schools in the region? So, Annie, that's for you. Yeah.
Okay, the reason why I rolled my eyes a little bit, I don't know if you guys caught that, is because sometimes, like just this previous week or just 10 days ago, just after we had opened for teachers, we got an announcement that we are going to have a super extended long winter break of 4 weeks. Right. And so, which is fun for us, but also now we have an entire year group of kids that we need to get up and running and also help manage with the rest of the commitments in terms of assignments and internals and getting them through senior year, right? And so different curricula would have different timelines as such. But as far as my awareness of the KHDA, and I'm sure like you have far more experienced panelists, maybe they can dip into. But from what I've seen in my conversations with other counselors, the KHDA posts the holidays across the region. So you'll at least know what are the main set of holidays. So maybe avoid those for recruiting, right? And if you don't like the hot season, right? Many people first start off, I've seen like my recruiting friends who travel in this region, who also recruit in India and the MENA region, first finish India and then come over here when it's a little bit cooler, right?
Yeah.
And so that seems to be the pathway that they follow. We'll have the Indian curricula would have exams, of course, right? So for us, it would definitely be avoid the national holidays that are announced. Ramadan and the second term can get very tricky, right? So first semester, yes, it gets jam-packed, but a lot can be done, right? And so first semester, we reopen a bit later in this region, at least as far as the UAE is concerned. Students start last week of August, right? And so because the airfare prices are very heavy, we'll have a full house maybe towards the end of September, when families with more number of children, it makes financial sense to come back maybe a few days later than the traditional start of the year, right? And so in terms of holidays, it's pretty straightforward. You'll just have to avoid the school exam periods, right? The major one. That's
Okay.
about.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Annie. Ulka, you have been at a school and you're now doing independent
Right.
counseling. So,
Right.
what are some of the effective formats that you see to engage with families, and also any tips on the part time of the year?
Right. So I would agree with Annie 100% on this as well, because we come from the same. I was working with the InnoVentures, so we come from the same part of the InnoVentures group at a different school. However, of course, the academic calendar is assigned to the students well in advance, even before they start. However, most of the schools start sometime in August. That's the earliest time that they start. So ideally, the preparations and plannings should be done closer to the post year. For the current year, that's possible, because then that's what we follow is that there is a very strict academic calendar that is followed by most of the schools in Dubai, as far as I know, definitely. And the ideal way is the communication could be done and locked with the dates and times and the activities for workshops for students, or probably, having some fairs that need to be brought in the campus at schools should be defined a year before that, like towards the end of the academic year, prior. So that just helps to line up and plan out well to have a better audience, because the other challenge also is because the parents are also working. And ideally, what happens is when sessions are formulated and defined in schools, not a huge number is available from the parents' end as well. So the coordination of that also, if is considered way before time. I think parents do want to meet. They do want to meet the universities and the providers. However, with the challenging time schedules, which was also another challenge when I was in school. So we used to have these sessions after school around 5:30. So that's a long day for the counselor, definitely, but it did work. So ideally, Saturday, Sundays is not something that there should be considering anything, because Saturday, Sunday, nothing functions. So it should be somewhere closer to the weekday of a Friday to have
Okay.
such kind of sessions. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic, superb. Vanda, I don't want to miss your insights on this one. You have seen both sides of the table, and what are your thoughts on this particular question?
Yeah, so I agree with Annie and Ulka both. One trend I'm seeing, and Annie, feel free because you're still in the counselor position. I think the schools sort of get very inundated with requests from universities as well. And more countries coming up. This is a constant thing I get from the counselors. We have no time. And I don't blame them, because it is impossible to finish the curriculum, meet KHDA's holiday requirements, and be able to place the students. So I think a few effective strategies which have helped universities who we have worked closely with is to do, more strategic recruitment, I would say, where they can reach out to students in a more meaningful sort of engagement. And I think university recruitment engagement ideally starts from students in grade 11 from the university perspective. Because grade 12, literally, when the student enters grade 12 in September, they're literally in the school only for 4 months. December, they're gone. Or November end, they're gone, rather, Rani. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that window is so small. And in that window, I think we have thousands of universities circling around schools to meet these students. Students are also inundated and stressed out. So I think if this engagement starts from grade 10, grade 11, I think the students will have more time to even review, to understand the university programs. And I would request the university to do more strategic workshops for students. Online workshops actually have worked really well. We are doing some in-person workshop with university officials as well, which have been phenomenal. And students have participated, they've gained information, and they can be program focused. And that itself tells a student whether, this university resonated with them or not, this program was for them or not. So it hits a few points, which I think is the best form of recruitment today. Besides, of course, doing fairs and a lot of other stuff, which we universities and independent consultants we engage in.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, fantastic. So figure out some ways to meaningfully engage with the students a little early instead of trying to catch them in grade 12. Fantastic. So we are almost coming towards the end of the session now. Ulka, my next question to you is, how should universities think about building long-term relationships with schools and counselors in the region?
Okay. So of course there are huge, humongous university fairs happening. But I think it's just one time scenario where they are not able to meet the parents and have that conversation on one. So I feel that there should be a little bit of a more a relation building approach from both ends, ideally, in a way where the universities are establishing a little more partnership programs with the school students and with their parents as well, like, having some kind of an opportunities where ideally when the students are not available, probably there could be a possibility of having the counselors come on their campuses, or have some kind of workshops for counselors, that where the counselors become the voice not the voice of the university, but, having a little more add-on information to share with the parents and students. Ideally, when they have their open houses or, some kind of activities and sessions in school for parents. So I think that that is some niche that could be worked on definitely with the university, by the universities, with the school counselors. That's very one of the important one. And then the probability is also if there could be a, like, of course, the information sessions are important, but if the alumni can be added to the information sessions about talking about a particular course or a university within that particular region, would also help parents and students understand about the regularities and the requirements, all the possibilities of a student to be best fit at that campus. Simultaneously, definitely, I've seen, and this was very successful some time back, adding some master classes by universities that just help so that they get a very concentrated cohort to attend that session to know a little more about the university and the program. So that also is very, very effective. I've seen that in the past. So that's something that definitely university should provide. I'm, and if you don't mind, I can also mention as university, SCAD University really takes that effort with the art students to come and deliver a lecture on how to do a portfolio in school. So I think that some kind of these aspects really make it a very important decision making for the students and the parents, because then the things that are not known and sometimes very ambiguous can be confronted and dealt with, and students can get more confidence about what they are moving forward to. So these are a few things. Yes, exchange programs or probably the summer programs, 90% of the information is only available online for summer programs. Not many students or counselors do get this, extension of understanding the deadlines, the requirements. So if there could be a possibility, apart from just applications and placements, if there could be a possibility of, having these kind of informative sessions for summer programs with school students and parents, would also define a very fine line of what would be interested, what courses are available, and how that could help the students. Exchange programs could be a possibility. Now depends how, because the students are really young, so probably I'm not sure, but that is something also, like when I used to think about this, these were few things that always used to, like just, I would think about it. So that these are few of the things that could be a collaboration consistently for years together. It cannot be just one-time appearance or two-time appearance, and then it's just communication with the counselors and then everything happening online. So I think there has to be a little more uh, face-to-face presence as well. I don't know. It definitely, they also have budgeting and travel and all, a lot of things. But yeah, these are few things that, I feel should be happening more often.
So those are some fantastic ideas. Counselor fly-ins, info session with alumni, and Annie, I'm just coming to in a minute. Master classes by universities, and talking more about, let's say, summer programs instead of just talking about admissions and applications. So fantastic, Annie. Yes, over to you.
One thing I also noticed that gets a lot of traction if you want to attract Emirati students is the Emirati government provides scholarship if a student attends their set of recognized universities. And so if a university or a program is featured in that, then it's seen as the government would sponsor their education. So I think that again, you're building a community of students from this particular region. And once the universities are able to show that those students are able to acclimatize there and thrive well and are well received, then you will see a lot more, because it's word of mouth also here, right? And it's a very relational culture. So if they know you and they trust you, then you'll get not just one kid, but their entire, all their friends and their extended family. So that again could be an interesting one. And as Ulka said, in terms of master classes and value additions, if a university has like a very specific niche program that they'd like to highlight, just in terms of recall for students, hey, this is a university that has this specific thing that we attended. So then it's easier for us. But then as a counselor, we get so many requests, and to get to pull kids out of classes, sometimes it gets very tough for us. And even to get a venue to host this, sometimes we have to, jump through hoops. When I speak with my friends who work in other Emirates like Sharjah or Abu Dhabi, they say they also have to get permission for each and every visitor that they host, right? And so it's paperwork. I'm sure Dubai at some point, the KHDA here would go into that level of paperwork, but I hope they automate it so it's easier for us. But right now, for us to host you, we sometimes have to do a lot of work. So, and also, as Vulka said, like, for families to attend after work in the evening or that, it's a huge city and traffic gets crazy. So if there are ways in which we could spread the message for and make it valuable enough for people to log in online, to join a session, I think it's a win-win for all of us.
Great. I think do online sessions like these. Yeah. So fantastic. I think now we are at the end of the session. We have some time for Q&A. So if there are questions, please feel free to put it in the chat, or just maybe unmute yourself and ask your questions. And as we sort of hear some questions, I'll have, maybe all of you can just have 1 minute for your closing comments. So whoever wants to start first, but a closing comment for the audience about anything that you wanted to talk about but you missed. So yeah, Renee, you would like to ask a question? Yes.
Yes. Hi, everyone. This has been such a valuable session with lots of insight for the region. So thanks for all your comments. My question has more to do with the suggestion for towards the latter part of the presentation, where you suggest ways to engage more with juniors. So we at Lynn offer to do both in-person presentations and virtual presentations that can be of value to the student, so that it goes beyond just talking about Lynn, but it's more about supporting your counselor's work while engaging with the students. Two challenges that we find, and maybe you can help us with this, is timing. We find that many schools, the structure doesn't have a way for us to deliver that. So the responses we get is like, no, there's no time, come during lunch. That's the only time.
Yeah.
So perhaps maybe if you can suggest what are ideal, or are there counseling times where these presentations can be delivered at different schools? And two, what are some of those topics that you think that would be helpful for students, and depending on the region? We would love to hear that. Thank you.
Oh, I can tell something. Hey, Renee, nice to see you. I'm just wondering, so some of the ways in which we found it easier to get into the classrooms, one was if the topic aligned, for example, mine's an IB school. So if the topic aligned with, let's say, a psychology class or, one of those subjects, so then it's easier for us. Or if a student gets a certificate to attend a particular session, it could be, we had a speaker talk about bioplastics last year. And so, it was interesting for students to attend the session and get a participation certificate from a particular university at the end of it, right? And so, or it could be, so that helped, right? Okay, so if it is aligned with the curriculum, then we could add it as a guest speaker or someone who's coming in. It could be even a philosophy teacher who's part of the TOK class, right? That could be an interesting, addition rather than just one teacher adult engaging with them. We could get somebody else to participate, and they'd get insights into, oh, this is how a classroom would be at the university level, right? Or another way I found very interesting was if groups of schools do an event and we publicize it, so that in terms of time for you and manpower for you to organize it, and for us also to allocate time and space, it's easier to manage as a group. So sometimes teaming up does help, right? And you could even make it fun, right? So maybe throw freebies at them rather than, hey, we'll give you a discount, here's a voucher, a Starbucks coffee voucher or something. Kids would do a lot of a Starbucks coffee voucher or an Amazon coupon, right? Or something, some freebie, or it could be so some fun gifts for them maybe to participate in events like that. So that again, just in terms of engagement, helps.
That's great. It's all great suggestions, Annie, and I love the ideas of aligning what you're doing in the curriculum or the opportunities that each school may have, depending on the curriculum that they have, for us to bring faculty members. And certificates are easy to do, and could offer that more like that prestige for the student. I'm not sure about the Starbucks cards, but that's a great idea, because that's what students are gonna like. So thanks for those suggestions. Very helpful.
Thanks, my pleasure.
Yes, thanks, Saneha. Vanna, yes, over to you.
Yes, I'll just add on to what Annie as well said, giving it a different perspective. What we recently did is I hosted a AI workshop by a Tulane University professor who is a AI researcher in the US as well. And we did on an independent capacity. We did it in a host school, could be any school. And we invited students who were interested in learning about AI. That's when, this was in March of this year, when AI boom had just suddenly started, where students thought it's ChatGPT, but AI was much beyond that. So there was a lot of excitement and, eagerness to join the workshop. It was a 4-day workshop. We did it on Thursday evening, we started. So out of school hours, so students' studies are not disrupted, their school's whatever schedule, etc., is going on. Thursday evening, Friday's half day, so that helps from your perspective. Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday, Sunday, Friday literally was a full day as well. And students gained at the end of the day AI certification from the professor. They got, awards, and they built a business. Like, we divided them in teams, they built a business. And they were all super excited because the end result was a lot of learning. They loved AI. So many of them said, well, I've now understood, I want to pursue that as a university study. So a lot of learning outcomes. And then they're all very happy getting that certificate as well. And the professor was kind enough to give a letter of reference to those who attended if they needed one to progress to university level. Our next workshop, which I'm doing in October, is MIT leadership from Sloan School of Management. The professor is flying in, but that again is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Again, not disrupting the school curriculum, but opening it up to anybody and everybody who is in grade 8 to grade 12, for example, who wants to know or get more information into leadership, doing creative workshops, etc., and getting maybe public speaking skills or leadership qualities or critical thinking and stuff like that. So maybe that's something you can also think of if your faculty is ready to travel, or somebody is willing to travel in the region, and a lot of people do come in September to December. I see a lot of engagement, a lot of activities in the region, and most of the universities are here at that time.
Thank you. That's great. I think most of our faculty would be ready to jump on a travel opportunity for several days like that.
Happy to support if anybody's willing. Yeah.
We
Oh,
are
and
almost
may I
coming.
add something else? Sorry, may
Go
I
ahead.
just add something else?
Yes, please.
So, like when I got a chance to visit Lynn, three things stuck out to me. Like they, of course, they have extraordinary support for students, right? They have a fabulous sports program, and also they have a fabulous flight school. So I'm just wondering for students who need inclusion, if you could do a program, think for the faculty who support, right? For the inclusion staff in schools, if you could do a program, that could be a fabulous way to reach. So they are able to recommend Lynn as a possible choice, right? So that could be something. Sport, if you want to recruit, there are tons of football clubs that are here. So if you want to get us and swim teams that are here, so please feel free to come in. So that could be another one, or even a model plane building class over winter break, right? A week-long one that could capture kids who are interested in engineering and flight, right? So those could be fun ones for you to organize and easy enough to get kids interested in, if that helps.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. So 30 seconds, everyone, quickly. Any final closing comments? Let's try and close in on time. 30 seconds. Who would go first? Anu, you want to start?
Yes. Devesh, the simple funda is consistency. Consistency is the key here. Okay. Because schools and parents look for tangible support rather than only information.
Yeah.
So, like many of them highlighted, it's you get a time period, September, December. That's when you can position yourself, and that's when children are available. Post that, it gets very difficult for them to, plan around. And yes, they do have the independent counselors, school counselors helping them out. But if the universities really want to make an impact, it should be in the month between September to December, especially in cities like Doha. We need a lot of approvals.
Yeah.
Here, nothing happens without the approval of the ministry.
Okay. Fantastic. That's insightful. I think thanks for putting in those words and making clear September to December is a good time to engage. Who wants to go next? Yes, Ulka, please go ahead. Yeah.
So a little request, of course, the universities are really doing a wonderful job when they come on campus and, meet students and all that. But could there be possibility to just add on a little more in terms of, apart from just talking about the prerequisites and requirements and the courses, if there could be a possibility of the cultural exchange or some kind of connections and information regarding I agree with Annie, and I would really like to highlight that the inclusions on campus at the universities to help students with their challenges to get to the university when they come for their further studies. If there could be some special sessions exclusively for such kind of, maybe in form of activities or webinars, would really help the parents to make that decision for their kids. Yeah.
Fantastic. So talk about cultural exchange, talk about inclusion, student support, international student services, those kind of things. Vandana, over to you. Yes.
Yes, I think one thing which universities do a fabulous job when they come and meet students from the recruitment perspective. I think one thing which is really confusing students right now with the AI revolution and changing careers is what do we do with where we can get a job? So I think helping them understand if we have a biomedical program, what are the kind of careers that will branch out to? If there is psychology, I think if we give them a bit more in-depth perspective, if the university officers can do that, I think the recruitment will actually grow for the programs which are not understood. When I was working, just to give you an example quickly, when I was working at University of Toronto, there was a program called CCIT, Communication, Culture and Information Technology. It was such an innovative program at that time. And this I'm talking about 2001, 2002, but nobody applied. International students didn't apply because we didn't do a good job of telling them what is it, right? So I think students are stressed and confused about what can I do to get a job? What is going to be automized and what is going to exist? So I think if we can bridge that gap, I think that is what is needed.
Fantastic. talking about career outcomes after a specific major. I think giving them a clear career path, or at least some sense of what career outcomes could come out of a specific major or a specific field of study. Annie, finally to you before we close.
I've never talked for less than 30 seconds, so this is going to be a challenge, but happy to collaborate, right? And if just as we ask for you to work in groups, I'm hoping like in the coming years, schools band together so that it makes your life easier in terms of visits and for hosting you. So we make very good use of the time you make available visiting our cities and our part of the world to make available and showcase the options that are available at your amazing institutions across the world. Thanks for doing the great job that you do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Annie. The word is let's collaborate, let's come together and make it for the students, for helping the students at the end of the day. Thank you so much to my lovely panelists. Thank you for joining the session and for sharing your insights with all of us. I have a ton of notes here. So I hope, I'll be able to recruit better in the Middle East. Thanks to all the participants who joined us. I hope you found this session helpful. If you missed a part of it, we'll upload this on YouTube as well. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day or a great evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Good
Bye.
night.